Okay, that's great. Actually, based on what we saw up to today, the object-oriented flavor is appearing step by step. We are getting in the deep. We are just driving and diving into the deep. Clearly, you are seeing the object-oriented concept. We are starting the classes. Last class we started already, and the concept of the use of classes, how and for what. What we're going to do today is to continue on the same path. We are going to learn more and more object-oriented features. We are going to see the constructors and the destructors, which are the building block of a class. They are the tools that we are going to refer to initialize the status and start the behavior of a class, and then after destroy such a task. We're going to see a static member definition, how to utilize it for what, friend functions, what we are going to use, we are going to see for what and how. So let's dig in. To get started, actually, we are going to utilize the same task from last week, but differently. We are going to manifest the use of the constructors and destructors to initialize the status of a class. When we say actually to initialize the status of a class, it is to initialize the variables or the attributes. They are locally defined or initialized, they say declared inside the class from within the body of the class. This is the initialization of the state. And to set the behavior, this is the role of the constructor to initialize the status and to set the behavior. Setting the behavior means to call or to, let's say, define the path, how the functions or the procedures they are, what are the instructions inside, how let's say to call the methods inside the class. Methods means functions and procedures. Let's dig in. What is the constructor? It's a method, but it has some features. We'll see that. So in this task, you are required to declare a class that has to initialize the status, that has to define the profile of a student. The profile is made up of the ID, the age, and the name. We'll do that, and then after I'll modify it by integrating a constructor. Then after I'll use the destructor to empty up the memory from this initialization. We'll see step by step. So I'm going to swap to the compiler. Great. Are you seeing the screen? Is it visible to you? Maximize the script, the window. Is it visible to you, please? Can you just confirm?
Yes, Mustafa.
Great. I'll start by giving a title to this program. Actually, initialize. I'm going to say, come on, title initialize student profile. Here we are going to utilize constructor and destructor to do actually the empty of the memory, of the memory once we finish the use of the variables or whatever. So the constructor is to build up, the destructor to empty. Destructor, it means to destruct, yes, but here we are not destructing the program. No, we are emptying the memory, what we allocated for, what the space we use in the memory, which is the RAM. We're going to empty it. We're going to free the memory. So let's dig in. Immediately I'm going to start creating the class. So the class, so we use the keyword class. I'm going to say std profile as a name. Yes, here it starts and here it terminates, semicolon even. Yeah, here it is, semicolon. Great. In between, I'm going to start by declaring the variables, which are mainly an int for the ID or std ID. I'm going to say std ID. Then std age. It's an int also. I'm going to say age. Then is the name. Then the name. Yes, then the name. So I'm going to say string name. Great. the string later on to give us an error, and I'll ask you how to fix that. Good. I declared actually the variables. I'm going to initialize. The attributes. We have to give them actually a view. First of all, those are public variables. Public attributes. They are public. Then, in between here, I'm going to declare a private group where I'm going to declare the methods responsible for initializing those attributes. I'm going to say init profile. Init profile. Here it starts, and here it ends. Great. I'm going to say I may write simply std id equals 1 2 3 4 5 6. It's an int, and the age equals 12, and the name equals, I'm going to say Imrad. Great. I finished. Did just I pass to the main. Simply, I pass to the main. Here I'm going to empty this space. I'm going to call the here this method. What should I do? Can you hint? First of all, remember that we have to reach this one through the class. It's outside of the main, so we have to call them the class. We cannot call the class. We have to instantiate. We create an instance of the class. An instance of the class. So we instantiate the class by just type in the name of the class, copy, paste it here, and we give an object name, just an obj, whatever, and I say std object, and std just it's enough. It's user defined name. Later on, I say std dot the name of the method I need. Here, which it is init profile. I'm going to copy, and here paste it. It's a method with some simple parentheses. Semicolon. I finished. Okay, let me run. I have two issues. Let me run. I have two issues. We will find that. Great. The first issue actually it is only visible to us, which is this init profile. It's not. He's saying that the error for this declaration of init profile. Error. The name is the same, no, isn't it? Yes. Then is a private. This is the message I need. Is private. So this is the first issue. I told you that there are two issues. The first issue is that we are not able to access this init profile. Why? Because it is seen private. So outside of this scope, we cannot use this init profile. What should we do? We have to change this one, for example, to public, as per the examples. Public. Let's do another execute. Yes, solved. We have only one other problem. Let me understand it first. Permission. No type. No type. Ah, yes, exactly. I made a mistake. So the declaration has to have actually data type. So the data type here. Great. Let me execute now. Main, nothing is there. Nothing is there. Actually, there is another issue, but it is not saying anything. That's great. So nothing is there. No output. Why? Because I do not have any let's say any cout. I'm not going to do this one only, but I'm going to right after I'm going to say cout. Since we initialized through this CD, I'm going to just bring an output. So I'm going to say the student ID is less than. I'm going to say std dot std ID. Sorry, less than and del. Let me bring another line, new line. What is this? std. here before the dot. It is this one we declared here. It's the instance of the class. And this std ID, it's the variable name available inside the object, inside this object, which is the instance from this class. Let's do the same thing for the age. So see out, the std age is less than. I'm going to say std dot what? Dot age. Less than, and del. Great. So another cout. The std what name? The come on. The std name is, I made a typo, less than. I'm going to say std dot s dot name immediately, straightforward, less than, and del. And let me fix the typo. Wait. Listen up, let me test, execute. It works very fine. It works very fine. I was expecting that this one won't work on the online compiler here, so but it worked. So خلاص. Once, if we have had any issue with this one, we would have called the string library, include string. But since it is working very fine, it is giving me the output. That's enough. It's very easy. Great. So what should I say? Yes, great. So خلاص, now we solved the problem basically without any technique. But the question is asking us now. خلاص, the output, I got it. Finish. Yet to fit the question request, we have to use a constructor to initialize, and later on, after declaring, I have to destroy and free up the memory. How to? Great. I'm going to return this one as a private. Now, I'm modifying the program to answer the initialization of the profile based on the use of a constructor. What I'm doing, I'm using a constructor now to initialize the profile. Yes, Tal, you have questions?
wait ما سوينا الكود.
Shall I give you time? Please take print screen. It's better in order to gain time. Take print screen. Take print screen and let me finish the second copy, and you'll take it. Otherwise, you'll find the recorder later on. In order to gain time, actually, I don't want to make a long video for you only, just to make it short as much as it can. So I return the definition of this procedure to be private, and let me dig in. To dig in what? I'm going to define a constructor. The constructor, actually, it has some features that have to be actually fulfilled. First of all, that it has to be with the same data, with the same name as the class name. Exactly, it has to be the same name. So the constructor, it's a method. It's a method. It's a method. Method means it's a functional procedure, but it is not having any data type return. The name is the same as the name of the class. Since it is a method, so I add simple parentheses, and it has to have a curly brace to start and to end. As a scope. I repeat, a constructor has the same name as the class. It does not have any return. It does not have any return like here. It does not. It does not. Then it is a method. So it has to have those simple parentheses to indicate it is a method. And it has a scope. What does it mean, scope? It's a range where we declare instructions in between. Here, in between, I'm going to say std ID equals, for example, 545454. It's enough. Age equal 20. It's enough. Name equal, I'm going to say Uniswap. It's enough. Great. I finished. See what I'm going to do first of all. See, I'm going to take off this one to make you memorize, to make you notes the difference. I'm going to cut I took it off. There is nothing. There is no constructor now. I'm going to execute with a private procedure. If you give me an error, no, we cannot. We cannot. So this one we cannot. We cannot do. So I'm going to leave it like it is. I'm going to return the constructor. Here it is. The constructor again. It's here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to completely take off this procedure from here. So this procedure, I do not need it. It's private and it is giving me errors. I do not need it. Delete completely. I have only constructor. Here, since we deleted the procedure from here, we do not need this one. It will give me an error. I'm going to delete. Full stop. Full stop. So I declared an instance of the class named std, and since I'm utilizing a constructor, this instance has to have the behavior of this constructor. How? By giving it an equal new. Copy this constructor. Paste. Full stop. That's it. So what I did here, we have no methods, no private, nor public. We have only a constructor. And the constructor, it's not a function, it's not a procedure, it's a method that has the name of the class. It has no return, it has no data type return, and it is initializing the status, which is the initialization of the variables. Here in the main, to call it, it's the same way. We do not make any modification. Yet the object, we can give it the behavior of the constructor by adding this equal new, the name of the constructor, including the parentheses, Let me execute. So see here the differences. I have an issue. Let me just understand first. Okay, just to make it easy, I'll make it easy. This code here I will avoid. This code I'll avoid for now, to avoid the syntax error. Actually, there is another secret.
Mr.
Yes, tell me.
Student R capital D سويتها أنت capital هذا small.
Yes, that's great. شكرا على الملاحظة. Let me execute. Great. So 5454 20 units work. So it is initialized. Did I make any hint here? Nothing. Just nothing. I'm just creating an object, and the object has automatically called the constructor. Very easy. Very easy. Very easy. See also what I'm going to do. I'm going to return the private method, but I'm going to utilize something different. It's not the initialization, just to make you understand what the constructor do, the role of the constructor. We said that the constructor initializes the status and set the behavior. Initialization of the status means the variables declared, they would be initialized. We initialize the std with this value. We initialize the age with this value. We initialize the name with this value. Those are variables we initialized. How to set the behavior? The behavior is the methods. Do we have methods? We do not have. I'm going to add a method for understanding, for learning purpose only, and then we'll see how to set the behavior. Let me do. So I'm going to declare a procedure. I'm going to say void display std profile. I'm thinking of to do or not. Yes, let me do it. Here in between, I'm going to take off all of those. Cut. I'll put them here. And see, we do not, inside the class, We do not call the instance. We straightforward call the variable. Straightforward call the variable. Straightforward call the variable. We are inside the class. So immediately I call the variable. I do not call the instance. The instance is inside the main. Inside the main, what should I do? Nothing. Nothing. I keep it empty. Empty. Nothing. Hey, where to use this one? Inside the main? No, inside the constructor. What should I do? I'm going to say copy. It's a call. It's a simple call. Semicolon. Let's see execution. The same. The same means the same. The same. Nothing happened. Let me change the values. For example, this one to be 989898. This one to be 15. This one to be Oman. Let me execute. Has been changed. Do you see the difference? Now we are utilizing a constructor. Now we are utilizing a constructor to initialize the status and to set the behavior. The behavior is the private block here. We are calling it here inside the constructor. And inside the main, we do not have anything. We have only one instance. That's it. And since the constructor is taking care of everything, we had the output. We got the result. Easy. Easy as that. What happened now? The initialization has happened. The methods, the group of methods, actually for now we have only one. The group of methods, they have been actually executed, and the memory is allocated. The memory is allocated. Okay, so this is the role of the constructor. Great. Comes after the role of the destructor. After we initialized and we displayed and we executed and we displayed, we brought the output. Okay, we need to terminate. We free up the memory. We need to free up the memory. We use a destructor to do so. To free the memory, khalas, we finished. So we call the destructor to free up the memory. We allocated early, we use the memory, and now we have to free it up. To free, we have to create a destructor after the constructor. We have to call the destructor after the constructor. The destructor also has a secret how to execute, how to define the destructor. The destructor has the same name as the class also. It do not have a data type in return. It is a method. So the simple parentheses have to be utilized. It has a scope to use. This is the scope. It has the same name as the class. Method indicator, the simple parentheses. What's the difference in between the constructor and the destructor? Before the name, we add tilde. This sign here, the tilde. We add a tilde to say this is a destructor. It's not a constructor. That's it. I'm going to say that's it. Just we call the destructor and it would do the necessary. I'm going to bring an output which is just simply memory has been freed. That's it. And out. Easy. Easy. Just simply out. He will take care of everything. Actually, we can add other instructions, but for now, just to show the execution. Let me test. Memory has been freed. Did I do anything inside the main? Did I call this destructor? No. It is completely and totally recognized by the program, and it has been executed. Because of what? Because of this tilde. The tilde says that this is the destructor, and it would call this block automatically when? At the end. See, memory has been freed up. It had been displayed to us after the code. Even if I'm going to change the place, see, I'm going to cut and put it before the constructor. Okay, actually it is not good. It's not good as a habit, but let's see. Will the message change to be the beginning? Before? No, never. It will not change to be before. It is declared here before. but the execution would only happen at the end of the program. Any questions, please? I'll give you 30 seconds to think. Do you have any questions?
No, Mr.
Great, great. Let's continue. Let's continue. Later on, you'll have this video, and I'll be with you for any interaction later on at the end. Let me continue. So now we finished now we clearly understand what is a constructor and a destructor and how to utilize them clearly. Let's move to one step further. Yeah, the friend method. Actually, we are required to do the same thing to initialize the student profile, which is the ID, age, and name. But we need to use a friend method. So let me just let me repeat everything. Let me just get rid of everything, and we'll do it again. So we do not need anything here. Great. So we need to use a friend method. We need to use a friend method to declare and to initialize every point inside the class. First of all, we have to understand what is a friend method. As we declared, as we defined the constructor and the destructor, a friend method, as the name means, it's a friend to something. Friend to me, friend to you, friend to her, friend to him. It's a friend. It's a friend. The method is a friend. And what is a method? A method is either it is a function or a procedure. So it's an object. It's a component. It's a behavior. We have to make it friend. Friend to whom? It can be only a friend to a class. It can only be a friend to a class, because a friend to a friend, yes, a friend to a function, no need, no use. They are same. Friend, function to a function, they are the same object. So there is no use to make a function or a method friend to another method. There is no use behind of that. But when we make a method friend to a class, there is a secret and there is a big benefit. We will see. Let me define, so first of all, the initialization of the profile in a class. So I'm going to create the class. I'm going to say profiles. Let me just write it differently. Profiles. Okay, this is the scope. It's a class now. So I'm going to indicate the end of the class. So semicolon. And between here, I'm going to declare the int ID. Then the int, I'm going to say age, and then after the string name. Great. Done. Finished. Finished. Private. I'm going to just move to private. Private. Great. Private. Here in the private block, I'm going to define a procedure. It's a procedure, right? Init profile. I'm going to say it has to start and it has scope. Inside of this procedure, I'm going to say, I'm going to declare, I'm going to initialize. I'm going to say the ID equals, for example, equals 525252. It's enough. Age equals 12. Name equals Nizwa. Sorry, it has to be between double quotations. Quotation, Nizwa. Okay. Semicolon. Great. I'm going to change the N to be capital. It's arbitrary. Great. I finished the initialization. I initialized. It's private. Huh? It is private. Great. Also at the same time, I'm going to declare a second method. I'm going to declare a second method to display the student profile. What I said now, I'm going to declare. I'm not going to define. I'm going to declare only. What is the difference in between the declaration and the definition? The difference is the following. I'm going to make it procedure, not function. So void. It is display, or this let's say this profile. It has a start and an end. It does not have a scope. Semicolon. Yes, I'm declaring only. What does it mean I'm declaring? means I'm telling to the class, hey class, I have a method, or you have a method named this profile. Later on, outside of the class, outside of the body, here before the main, we are going to define it. Here we declared it, and here outside we are going to define it. Let's define it. Let's define it. So how to define this same method? I have to call it. How to call it? So I'm going to say copy paste this method here. Copy. I'm going to make the error, and I'll let you understand later. So I'm going to define. It's a procedure. So void. I'm going to say void. Void. Yes. Here. And say. Display. So what should I do? I'm going to say just simple cout. Sorry. std ID is what? I'm going to say ID because it's a member from the class. No, less than it's an and there. Then the age cout. Yes, here the std age is age less than is an and there. Then cout the std name is yes less than its name less than its an and there. They make any std here. Great. Let me just call this method now inside the class. So far I don't know if there is an error, but there is an error. The reason it's not this way. We cannot define a method belonging to a class which is private this way. To call the attributes, we cannot do. It will not allow us. We'll see. I'm gonna call this method now. So we have to declare an instance. We have to instantiate this class. So copy, paste, profiles. I'm gonna say SPR or SP student profile. Okay, semicolon. I'm gonna say SP dot what? Initialize first. Semicolon. Then come on. Then SP dot what? Okay, here it is. Paste, semicolon. Okay, I did. So we initialized. We given the values. Then we display. So those are the couts. Let's execute. So many errors. You cannot use those ID, age, name. You cannot. The declaration. See here actually in another context, SP profile here actually. Init profile, there is another issue here. We have it inside this init profile. We cannot call a private method. Remember this. You cannot. But at the same time, it would push us to understand how to define a private method. See the syntax here. To call this profile from outside of the scope, see the syntax. We are using the class scope resolution operator, the two colons, then after the name. Those errors here, the ID, the age, and the name, to avoid those errors. So we change the declaration here. How? By following this syntax. So I'm going to do the name of the class, copy, here before of the name of the method, paste, then colon, scope resolution operator. Let's execute again, and we see those errors will disappear now. Let's execute. Yes, they disappeared. Now we have only the problem of the private. So this one, now we know how to declare it. Sorry, how to define it, how to define this method outside of the scope. Okay, okay. The issue of the private, just change this one to public. Very easy. Public. Let's execute. Output done. Great. Okay. Now we solve the problem. Now we solve the problem. Now we know very clearly how to define a method outside of the scope, outside of the block where it has been declared. Okay, now we have the output and it works very fine. Great. This is not the intention of the task. The intention of the task is to use a friend method. So if I take off what I used here and I execute, I would have the issue. ID, name, they are not declared. From where you got them? From where we got them? It's an issue here. How to let's say how to define them, how to make the program understand that. So easy. Either we return the scope resolution operator and we use the same syntax suggested to us. Let me see. Let me find it first. Because we fixed the private, we have only public here. Good. So either or we declare, we don't initialize, we declare this profile as a friend. How to? Easy. Here before the void, I'm going to type friend space. I added this friend. Now this method can be initialized outside of the scope and can access the members of the class without being pointed by the profile, by the class name, without writing the class name before here and colon. Without. See here, I added the friend only, and I'm going to execute. We see the errors will disappear. I have another error. What's this? He's saying int main. He's saying int main. Did I have any issue? Yes. No. There is no. SP this profile. He's saying has no member. This profile. Okay. It seems to be that this compiler does not understand the friend, but it has been colored with yellow. Means actually it is understood. It is clear that this one has recognized that. Friend. Is public. Same name. Let me use the cpp.sh. Let me use the other compiler, and I'll compare cpp.sh because I believe that the compiler has an issue here. So let it load. It is loaded. Yes, here it is. So I pasted. Let me run. Okay, void this. function void disp was not declared, not declared, not declared. Class profiles has no member disp profile. Yes. Let me understand the syntax of what I wrote. Did I miss anything? No, I did not miss anything.
Mr. maybe space.
No,
Then,
there is no space actually. Space does not. The space is usually in names. Space is usually in names. Copy and paste. It's the same. I'll change the order. I'll put it here immediately after the public, and I'll see.
maybe capital profit
The same, no? I made a copy paste. It's the same.
لسه
Yes, tell me, Abir.
اكتب std نقطة نقطة يمكن هو السبب.
Use the namespace. No, we have. Here it is. It's defined here, and it's enough. Just to call the namespace. Use the namespace. Just to call it here in the beginning, and we can use the cout or whatever we need. And that's all. Here, actually, with the scope resolution operator, or with or without, also it works very fine. بها or بدونها, it is working very fine. With or without, both are okay. It's not the error here. I try to understand. Actually, it is 100% fine, and it works very fine. I'm pretty sure.
Mr.
Yes, tell me, Abir.
maybe فاصل مضغوطة اللي في اللاير 20.
In which line?
22.
No, this is the end of the class, Abir. This is the end of the class. It is 100% correct. If I take it off, the compiler may give me an error. Yes, here it is. It has to be. It's the end of the class. It has to be there. It's not optional. It's not maybe. This is a rule. We apply the rule. Here, my code is 100% correct. I know, but it is not given any output. It is indicating even that the variables, they are not accessible. Enter T. What is the T here? Yeah, great.
ممكن نطلب include السترينج maybe
Include what?
traffic وقع أو شيء.
No. We need only the cout, and the cout is defined inside the IO stream. Only the cout, and the cout is defined.
يمكن النقطتين اللي من بعد number space.
Number. Which number?
namespace.
لا I told you أنا كنت أشرح فيها ترى with or without. Here it is. Either with or without. Both scenarios they are okay. Issue is not there. Issue is not there completely. ID, age, name. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'll solve it now.
Mister,
Yes.
excuse me.
Yes.
الفويد this perfect أيوة
Profile.
بروفايل
It's
yes تشينج تشينج اللي حال بروفايل
okay. Change. Okay.
أو
Good. Okay. Good suggestion. I'm gonna change it. Profile. Profile. And here profile. Wait. Let's execute. Good suggestion. Still, it is with error. Error class profiles has no member named profile. Did you mean profiles? No. Front. Yes, it is recognized. It is recognized. Let me just give an. Let me give yes an attribute. I'm gonna say here int I, int a, string. Let's say n, and I'm gonna give here 1212 for the ID. Age I'm gonna say 20. Name I'm gonna say in between double quotations. I'm gonna say Aman. Great. Here wait box. I have to declare an object from the class. No, I'm going to declare from the profiles because actually they are numbers. I'm not going to put numbers here. So no, I'm going to declare an object from the class, here. I'm going to say profiles p. Same way here, I'm going to declare profiles another b, another x, another variable, and here I'm going to say x dot id, x dot age, x dot name. Great. I'm going to just execute. Profile he's saying has no member. Did you mean profiles? No. The same name, no? Profile. It has no. He's saying it is a front. Profile, and it is called here. Yes, here because actually we have to give an instance. I'm going to say SP here because we have to call the profiles with one parameter, and the parameter is from the type profiles. What is the profiles? It's the class, and this is from the type class. So we use it. Let's call now. What is the error now? Error class profiles has no member profile. Did you mean profile? Still.
مستر
Yes, tell me.
رقم 20 بروفايل
Yes.
ما يصير تسوي SP
Here, no. Actually, we are declaration. It means I write whatever I want here. I write whatever I want. It's a declaration. I'm just writing it right now. I'm gonna say P here. Same name. Yes, here P. Sorry. I'm reading the instructions here, and based on those instructions, I'm following the what I'm missing. What are the things I'm missing? No, has no member. Seems to be the same error. Function in main CVP. Yes, actually it's the same. Box. Strange. Ha. Strange what I'm doing. Just give me a second. Give me a second. I'm fixing the thing. Subhanallah.
مستر
Yes, tell me.
كلاسز بروفيتس انت بس معرفينها بالبروفيتس، بس اللي تحت الفويد بروفيتس البروفايل
Right. This is a class. It has no parenthesis. This is a procedure. It has a parenthesis. Those are not the same objects. This is a class. This is a procedure. They're not the same object. They're completely different. Here I'm going to say, for example, students, student or stud. are خلاص, it's enough. I'm going to copy to change the name. Same here. It's the same here. So this is a procedure. Remember, this is a procedure. Completely confusing. $35. Absolutely. See, actually, it is the end of the day. I made the mistake. See here. Look at here, please. Look at here. This is not defined as a method from the class. This one. It is a friend to the class. It is a friend to the class. So I was, because I made the program different. We do not call this method through the object. It is not through the object. It is not through the object. Here, it is immediate to be called because it is a friend to the method, to the class. It is not a member to the class. It is a friend to the class. So we don't use the object dot. Straightforward, we call the name. Execute. God. Result. I said how I missed the the code. Solved. So خلاص. Now the friend, it is not a member of the class, but it is a friend to the class. Even the call, we do not use the object. We do not use the object dot the method. No. Here also, we do not need the scope, the name of the class, scope resolution operator, colon. No need. Completely no need. Completely just straightforward. We call the name, and through the name we reach the objects. We reach the objects without any modifications. Actually, let's say, so we can reach the variables or even the methods. Execute, we get the result. So if I change the values here, 159 for example, here I'm going to say the age 15. The name I'm going to say Sultanate of Oman, execute, I will get everything. Absolutely. So it is like that. Friend method. Thank you very much. I'll stop at this level. I'll send you the video right now. If you have any questions, just keep asking me. Just I'll stop the recording only. I'll stop the recording only to send you the video.